Welcome here to the Kingsmen Corner. I'm Griffin Leonard, of course, here as always with head coach of Kingsmen baseball, Coach Joe Hudak. Will be joined by his son and the varsity head coach, Preston Hudak, later on in the show. But Coach, it's been a week. We've had a few more games. How you been?
I've been good. I've been good. It was a good week. Anytime you get to play six baseball games in a week, it's a good week.
Yeah, it's certainly been a busy one, both for the prospect and for the varsity teams. I know it's been a busy one for all of us traveling with both sides, but we'll start off with the prospect team. They had a three-game series against PDG. And as you know, as I'm sure a lot of people know, March Madness, the Madness of March is right around the corner. We had a little bit of madness of our own in this series, a couple of walk-off victories.
Yeah, it was crazy. I'm good. We played those games at Gardner Webb, and I'm good friends with Jim Chester, the head coach there, and they they had played App State the weekend before, the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before we played, and they won all three of their games on walk-offs. Right? And then we won all three of our games on walk-offs. So that's six games in a row on the same field that were walk-offs. Now our last two were run rule walk-offs,
Of course.
but the first one obviously was a true walk-off. So yeah, it was pretty crazy to see all that happen. It must be something about that field. I don't know.
Yeah, hey, if they're transferring good vibes over to us, then I mean, who are we to turn those down? But and I guess from your point of the run rule mercy rules, I guess or the run rule walk-offs rather, I guess those are probably a little less stressful for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm too old to have all these regular walk-offs, but the first game, we're down 2-0, going in the last inning and just had a really good inning. A lot of guys had a really good at bats, and obviously Owen Beatrice got the big hit to drive in the two winning runs. But I think the four guys before him all had good at bats as well. So yeah, it was a great way to win a ball game, and certainly again those are nail biters, and but that's part of the game, right?
Yeah, of course. And then after the traditional walk-off, as you mentioned, the results were a little bit more favorable the next day. Those wins coming a little bit easier on the score sheet, at least. What did you like out of the team that one day transition into the last two games of the series?
I think we made some adjustments offensively. They threw a real young kid in game one, a freshman actually in high school. Thin kid, doesn't weigh too much, didn't throw real hard, but really changed speeds and located, didn't walk hardly anybody, wasn't afraid to pitch inside, even though, he didn't throw overly hard. And, talked to our pitchers after that game, both the prospect pitchers, but especially the varsity pitchers, that you don't have to throw hard if you can locate and change speeds. But walks lose ball games. We saw that later on in the week with the varsity team when we went down to Georgia Premier. But I think the second day we made some good adjustments. Instead of trying to pull the ball all the time, just try to stay back. If they're not throwing overly hard, you got to have a backside approach. I thought we did a good job with that.
Of course, and with that series sweep, the prospect team sitting at 5-0 here in the ABA play. Of course, the bulk of the schedule is still coming up, and there's some really good teams on the schedule, so you can't celebrate too early. But you've got to be happy about where the team stands right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. With the prospect team in particular, going in not really knowing what the competition was going to be like, and we played a good Wellington team in East Cobb and, beat them twice. And then, PDG, their Canes baseball is one of the best travel baseball organizations in the country. And PDG is basically their academy, so they had some good players. And to beat them three times, especially handle them pretty well the last two times, really pleased with that. But, I really thought going in, that offensively, we could be a really good club. And I think we've shown that for the bulk of the season. So, yeah, very pleased. Obviously, if you haven't lost a game yet, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, right?
Of course, as you should. And right after that doubleheader that wrapped up the sweep, the team headed down to Statesboro, Georgia for the varsity's three-game series against Georgia Premier. Mixed results in that week, but overall, any progress maybe that you've seen from this varsity group?
I thought, day one, I thought the first game, I thought Max Rayleigh threw really well. He's gotten better and better, really pleased with him, right? I think they got 5 runs, only one of them was earned, right? We made a couple errors. Uh, the second game, obviously, we walked a ton. I think we walked or hit 14 guys, and just they had at one point they had 10 runs on 2 hits. You know, you just can't win ball games that way. But I was really pleased, and I'm sure Press will talk about this whenever you talk to him. Really pleased with how they came back in game 3, and didn't put their heads down, didn't mope. Just came back and played a pretty good ball game, and got a win. So they're a good varsity team. I thought they were really talented. And, we've played them 4 times. We're 2-2 with them. So, not bad. And, if we don't walk guys, we had a chance to, I think, compete in all of our games.
Of course. Any highlights of the road trip for you, either on or off the field?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just getting too old for this, man. I'm telling you. No, I'm not really. I love coaching. I love being on the ball field. I mean, there literally, is nothing I'd rather do than that. The Lord's blessed me and allowed me to do that my whole life. Now, this off weekend, yesterday and today, I got a chance to go up to High Point. My youngest daughter, Callie, is a dance teacher, and she had her first competition up in High Point. I love going up and watching her girls dance. She does a tremendous job coaching and teaching those girls. I mean, they did really well. I think yesterday, I know they had 8 dances. They had 5 number 1 overalls.
Cool.
I did really, really well. So, I enjoy that too. Anything involving my kids, I enjoy. But really for me, I think the Lord wired me to coach baseball. And one of the great things about it for me in particular is having Preston, on the field with me. That's just been such a blessing.
Of course. Well, I'm glad to hear that you've enjoyed the week with the entirety of the Hudak family. And we'll talk more about the week ahead to look forward to as well here in a couple moments. But I wanted to ask you, I know everybody does a little bit of scoreboard watching, maybe you less than others, but just wondering what you've seen out of the ABA as a whole so far, what you've liked with this league.
Yeah, I think I don't pay much attention to the Premier Division since we're not in it, right? But I know it's very, very good baseball, very talented players. I really, as I've shared with you before, I believe that's where we should be competing. But you have to pay your dues, and your first year's got to be a probationary year. So our goal is certainly to play up there next year. But I think we play Ray's Collegiate this week, a single game tomorrow and a doubleheader on Tuesday. They're decent. We scrimmaged them once in the fall. They have some good players. They're not real deep, right? And I think they've struggled a little bit so far this spring, especially on the mound. So looking forward to those 3 games. We certainly can't look past them. But one of the things, that you look at when you look at the standings, next Monday and Tuesday, we play DSC out of Richmond. We go up to Richmond to play at their place. We're 5-0, they're 4-1. So obviously looking forward to that matchup. But certainly we have to take care of our business here first. Baseball is a funny game that way. Anybody can beat anybody at any point. And, we have to make sure we take care of our business with Race Collegiate. So we'll be ready to play tomorrow. But yeah, looking forward to that series. And, I think they're, obviously in the Northern Division, us and DSC are doing well. I think P27 has a really good prospect team as well. So I think it looks like it's going to be maybe the 3 of us that'll battle it out. But as you said earlier, Griff, it's really early to start making any type of. I had a great quote. UCLA women's basketball team just beat Iowa by 51 points, right? In the championship game. Iowa's number 10 in the country, and they beat them by 51. And they asked their Corey Close is the basketball coach for UCLA, and they asked her if she thought that her team deserved to be the number 1 seed overall in the tournament. And she said, I learned that trying to control things you can't control will adversely affect the things you can control. That's a great quote. Fact is, I just sent it out to all the guys. because it's a great quote. We just got to control what we can control. I tell them all the time, tomorrow all we have is one pitch. We just have one pitch, and then after that pitch, there's another pitch. If the game, a 7 inning game, let's say it has 120 pitches, those are 120 individual games. And the more of those individual games we win, the better chance we have of winning the game. So, just take care of your own business, control what you can control.
Yeah, yeah, a really good message there, and I'm sure the guys will be taking that to heart as we get ready for this Rays Collegiate Series. I want to ask you one more thing about that, and maybe it kind of goes along with what you were just talking about, but you talked about what you kind of expect out of Rays Collegiate for this upcoming prospect series, but what do the Kingsmen need to do in order to secure another home series win?
I think just to play good fundamental baseball. I think we're a really good offensive club. I think up and down the lineup. I think we're going to score some runs. I think our pitchers need to throw strikes, and if you throw strikes and you play defense, you're basically going to be in every game. The game tells you if you throw the ball across the plate, they're going to make outs. I mean, 7 out of 10 times they're going to make an out. So if you throw it across the plate and you catch it and throw it, you got a chance to win in a game. So, I think that's what we're always talking about our guys every game. Just play the game one pitch at a time. If you make a mistake, hey, flush it and go after the next one, right? And I think we've done a pretty good job of that so far.
And then on the varsity side of things, they actually take a break from ABA conference play for a little while. Obviously, it's a tough situation for them because there's not as many teams at the varsity level in the ABA. So over the next couple of weeks, they're going to play doubleheaders against a conference opponent in P27. What benefit is there to having a couple games in a row against a similar opponent? Obviously, I'm sure they'd love to be taking on teams from all over the map in the ABA like the prospect team are, but there's a lot of value in this as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you think of the way we played, we lost 2 out of 3 at Georgia Premier, and parts of the game, we just didn't play very well, especially on the mound. We just didn't throw it across the plate much. So I think we got to take this time. These games, even though they're non-conference games, they're important. Every single game is important, man. When we put on the Kingsman uniform, we're playing to win, and they're important. You know me, Griff. You know me well enough that that's the case, right? But we can learn from these things. I think we've got to take the things that we've struggled with a little bit, and these next 2 weeks, we got a chance to work on them. Our pitchers got a chance to get to the point where hopefully they get like that young kid from PDG in the first game. Our kids throw as hard or harder than he does, and he just cut us up, man. Located, changed speeds, shut us out for 5 innings. And unfortunately, we scored 3 in the last for that walk-off win. But I think that's the biggest thing, is for our guys, our pitchers, just learn, hey, we got to throw the ball over the plate, right? So I think these next 2 weeks for the varsity team, extremely important to get things settled and get things changed so that when we do get back to conference play, we'll be ready.
Yeah, a couple of short road trips against one of the closer teams in the ABA. Maybe
Yeah.
a little bit of a not quite in state, but a little bit of a rivalry forming
Yeah, I
between
think
the
so.
Kingsmen and P27.
I think so. I think we beat their premier team at Caramon 14-12, and then I know over in East Cobb they beat us 4-3, right? So they're a varsity team. So yeah, I think it's a really good rivalry brewing there, I think. And again, it's a doubleheader where we just go down and play and then come back. As you alluded to, that's one of the disadvantages of this year, and it's the first year. I'm sure things are going to get better, but there are only 4 teams in our northern division that have a varsity team, right? So we're going to play the other 3, and then we played a round robin at East Cobb, which was our 4th series, and we'll play another round robin the last week in April, which will be our 5th series. So we'll have 15 games, for the varsity team, whereas we'll have 24 games for the league games, conference games. So yeah, it's a little different and a little disappointing, but at the same point, it is what it is, right? You control what you can control. We got to go play some ball.
Of course, and a lot of baseball to be played, a lot to look forward to, and
Yep.
I look forward to breaking more of it down with you next week.
Sounds good, Griff.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us as always. We're going to step aside here on the Kingsman Corner, come right back with varsity head coach and son of Coach Joe Hudak, Coach Preston. will be joining us right after this on the Kingsmen Corner. Before we continue with the show, I want to give a big shout out to 704 Sports Academy. 704 Sports Academy is a 10,000 square foot fully turf sports facility in Gastonia, North Carolina. The facility features 7 full length retractable batting cages, 2 pitching mounds, and weight room training equipment. Coach Weston Lawing and his staff are committed to the total development of baseball and softball players of all ages in the greater Gaston area, striving to create an enjoyable environment while challenging young athletes both physically and mentally, giving them the tools they need to compete. 704 Sports Academy is a proud partner of the Kingsmen Baseball Academy. Back to the Kingsmen Corner. Welcome back here to the Kingsman Corner. Griffin Leonard here with now assistant coach and varsity head coach Preston Hudak. Coach, we talked a while back on the show. Of course, we've seen you in and around Kingsman since then, but how have you been doing?
Oh, I've been doing great, man. Been doing great. It's good to spend some time with you today. Um, Getting back in here talking about Kingsman. Man, life has been good for me. Feel really close to the Lord right now. Really trying to have a great relationship with him, talking to him every day, trying to pour into the boys as best I can. Man, just trying to be a good example. I'm not perfect, especially this is my first year as being a head coach of a team with varsity. But man, I'm learning a lot, staying humble, just trying to be the best for my guys. And life off the field has been really good too. Healthy, family's doing good. Yeah, man, all that good stuff. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. Happy to have you back on the show here with us. Just wondering, you talking about the growth that you've made personally and spiritually. How have you been able to work with some of the guys as far as all of that has gone?
I think being a disciple for Jesus is about just trying to look for opportunities to talk about him. And it usually comes in times where there's a lesson to be learned. Uh, when things go right, it's easy to just kind of cruise through that. But when adversity hits, that's when we really need to lean on the Lord, man. And I try to use moments like that just to pour into the guys, help them learn some lessons both on and off the field for how to deal with adversity, how to deal with pain, how to deal with hurt. Because as a man, it's all about how we choose to respond to things. It's okay for us to feel down, maybe about a bad at bat or a bad game or a bad week off the field. It's okay to have those emotions, but as a man, we got to choose to continue to press on, and leaning on the Lord really helps. I found my own personal spiritual growth there and my journey. And man, our guys are getting pretty curious about faith and the DR. I'm sure my dad has mentioned on here that we had 15 guys recommit their life to Christ in the Dominican Republic. And now that has happened, we're really trying to pour into the guys on, hey, what to do next. And once you make that decision, what does a relationship look like in terms of building it stronger and stronger as the days go on? And we believe taking care of the little things uh, over and over and over again leads to really big things. And man, that's prayer time. That's getting into the Word and just trying to um, kind of keep up with our guys that way too, to make sure that they're spiritually progressing, even though they made that awesome recommitment.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. It's so important. I mean, it's the most important thing, right? As far as the baseball side goes, how have you seen some of that take action? We've got a special visitor on the
Let's
show.
go. Boo is in the
Come
building,
on.
baby. She didn't stay long. She got in and out,
There
but
you go.
yeah, she
That's
figured
that's
she'd
all
say
that's
hey.
all I'd expect from her.
Yeah, right.
But I was just starting to ask how
Sure.
you've seen some of that spiritual growth kind of work on the field, on the baseball side of things.
Yeah, man, good question. Dude, the way that our guys are holding themselves is pretty cool. I know, man, we're getting mentally tougher out there, and you can just see it in guys' shoulders and the way that they walk. I think the way that they interact with their teammates too. We have some leaders coming about that, um, man, they're just always looking for opportunities to uplift their brothers. I think the way that we hold ourselves towards umpires, we treat them with respect. Um, Coach and I, we like to argue balls and strikes, but as far as our players go, man, they're just turning into real men of class. The type of dudes that they were when they got here, and they've been great guys. But to see who they are now and the growth that they've had in the months that we've had them, it's been pretty special. And some of the best compliments that my dad and I have received are that coming from parents whenever guys return for a weekend or for Christmas break. They talk about how much they've changed in the way that they talk, the way that they walk, their mannerisms. Man, that's been very special to see, and it's definitely translating out there on the ball field too. I love the way that our guys handle themselves out there compared to other teams, and just learning from all players, you know. But man, I really respect my guys and how they carry themselves out there.
For sure. Um, it's interesting to hear how these guys are learning. Of course, they're so young, right? You're working with high school guys, and especially you with the varsity group. Most of those guys are the young or the younger of the already young collective.
Yes, sir.
Just wondering that decision to put you as the head coach for the varsity team this spring. How did that come about? What was that conversation like between you and coach and the rest of the staff?
Yeah, man. Lord willing, Kingsman takes off like we think it's going to, and the Lord continues to bless it. We want to be around for a very long time, and um, the way that my dad sees it right now, he'd love for me to step in and fill his shoes at some point, probably in another 30 or 40 years, whenever he's ready to get off the ball field. But at some point, I think my name's going to be called to hopefully take over these things. And man, what better way to get my feet wet with learning how to be a head coach than leading this varsity team this first year. And we play so many games. The total of about 80 games between these two teams. So it's nice for my dad to just be a presence in the dugout and be able to kind of let go of a head coach mentality for half of those games, where he can still pour into the guys and be there and be influential, but let me orchestrate the play by play over there, especially on offense. And he still works with the pitchers. Coach Oz does a great job with pitchers as well, so I kind of let them still do that side of things. But yeah, man, it's been really cool taking over the varsity team. I love having my dad being in there, coaching alongside with me. I learn a lot from him, being the assistant coach for the prospects. I try to put myself into his mind and think about maybe what he's thinking and why he's calling certain plays, and I get to apply that to the varsity games. So, man, it's been a really cool experience for me. This is my first time as a head coach. Definitely learning a lot, but just being able to steer the ship is a lot of fun. It's like playing chess out there.
I bet it is. And obviously, we're pretty new into the spring season. Only a couple of weeks have gone by. Seen some wins, seen some losses.
Sure.
But what have you seen from this collective varsity group that you maybe think that over the course of the spring, the potential that these guys can unlock?
Yeah, sure. Our lineup is pretty darn good. When we get our lineup together out there, we take the field, man. I think we're going to be able to hit with anybody. I don't think we're overmatched at the varsity level at all in terms of the arms that we face. I think we are going to put up some serious runs uh, throughout the year. And man, we got some really good arms too. We got some young arms, but just to put it in perspective, the first game of PDG against the prospect team, they threw a young lefty. He was actually a freshman, and he didn't throw very hard. I think one of the hardest pitches he threw was maybe 78 miles an hour. And most of our guys on varsity throw just as hard, if not harder than that. And so it's going to be cool how projectable our guys are. I think they continue to be in our program. They're going to get better and better, both in the box, but especially pitching as well. Man, I think as long as we iron out some little mechanical changes and get to throwing the ball across the plate, we're going to be really hard to beat.
For sure. And you guys got a couple of series here non-conference against P27. You have the opportunity over the course of 2 weeks to play the same team four times in a row, and kind of both teams going to start to figure each other out, find a little bit of consistency. How do you, as a collective group, win that battle?
Uh, I think it's learning from the other team. We do a good job of charting ABs and charting pitches. So to be able to play the same competition a few times in a row, we're going to be able to see tendencies. We'll be able to better position our defenders. We'll be able to call pitches a little bit better just because we do such a good job of tracking everything. I think that's where it starts too. We're going to learn their defense. We're going to learn their coaches as well and the tendencies that they have, and we'll be able to counter that way. That comes with the way that we run our bunt defenses. That goes with the way that we are on the bases, just looking to swipe extra bags whenever we can. Man, just learning the enemy, learning the competition so that we can better strategically make decisions for our team to help us win.
Yeah, should be some good competition
Yes,
for
sir.
the varsity group against the Blacksmiths coming up. I mentioned to Coach, I'll ask you about it as well. It seems almost with the win over the Premier team, with the close game against the varsity team, with the proximity between the two teams, a little bit of a rivalry could be forming.
I believe so too, man. I really see it, especially with us being so close. And P27 is an excellent program. Their Premier is one of the best teams in the country, let alone the league, but in the country. I mean, they have guys that are power commits. They have guys that are going to get drafted this year. It was really cool seeing the prospect team come out with a win against them. I think it was great for our team morale going into the season. Gave us a lot of confidence for conference play. But man, top to bottom, they're a really good club. I'm excited to play their prospect team. Haven't seen them yet, but just based on the level of competition and talent that they have on the premier team and the varsity team as well. I think we're going to be in for some good series. And man, I love playing good competition because that's what's going to make us better, right? We don't get better by playing poor competition where we put up a bunch of runs and it's a blowout games every single time. I mean, both times we played P27, it was a 1 or 2 run game. So playing good competition, that definitely makes us better. I know it's an electric atmosphere for the guys. They love playing against P27 just because they know how good of a program they are. Corey Warner does a great job there, man. So I think it's a birth of a rivalry that's going to be around for a while. Pretty cool to be a part of it.
Yeah, it certainly hope so. Wanted to ask you one more question about coaching, especially at the varsity level. Of course, the way that the ABA works, there's different levels of competition as Boo makes her second entrance to the show. Um, that's a happy owner right there for you, Preston.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a couple levels to the ABA, right? We're in two of them.
yes, sir.
I'm just curious for you as the varsity head coach, trying to make this team a collective unit that's battling together and fighting battles together. When there's that, I guess, temptation of looking up and seeing the prospect group, you know what I mean? How do you
Yes.
keep this varsity group as one unit playing the best team baseball they can when there's so many distractions around everything of trying to always get a step better. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure. Man, I think it's just having the right perspective to be able to control what you can control. Our varsity team, I think we're all going to play college baseball at some level. Not too sure what that level is going to be yet because we still have a lot of time to develop for guys to grow into their bodies, get their baseball IQ higher and higher as the year goes on. But man, every single one of them is going to be able to play and understanding the process of this thing. And I know that every single guy out there has the same goal to be the best that they can and to play at the highest level that they can play at. So just keeping their eyes on, hey, what can we accomplish today? And how can we get better today? How can we improve? And then we stack wins that way every single day. If we get 1% better, you look at this time next year when they will be at the prospect or maybe even the Premier Division, Lord willing, if we get into that next year, if they take the idea of, hey, I'm going to get 1% better every single day, well, they're going to be a whole lot better this time next year. And it's just growing into that. Slowing down and just, man, really controlling what we can control on a day-to-day basis. And the guys, they have a great perspective. They have a great mindset towards that. I think that they are all really excited to cheer on the prospect team. But man, they're also hungry to develop to where they can be on that team next year. So I'm really proud of the way that our guys have grown. Even in the short season that we've had so far, they're all projectable, and I think they're going to continue to get better and better.
Yeah, that's really, really awesome to hear. We're starting to run a little low on time, but I did want to ask you, just from your perspective, maybe the collective coaches' perspective, when you look back on this first season, whether it's the spring or just the whole first year of the KBA as a whole, what would make this spring considered a success?
I think from a player's perspective, it's pretty easy to tell how this experience and how this year has made them better. They're getting recruited, they're getting bigger, faster, stronger. They're
Hmm.
learning the game at a collegiate level. Man, when we first came in, not many guys knew how to run the bases, and their focus was on different things, how hard they hit, and while that's important, how their exit velo is and how hard they throw off the bump is important. Learning how to play the game of baseball is way more important than that. Man, I think they are collectively night and day a different team than when we first got them. That's individually, but as a team too. They're getting recruited, and I think we are checking off a lot of boxes there in terms of player development. Um, Culturally, I know they got a new family. That this is the tightest group of guys that I've ever been a part of as a team. I think living in the apartments together is a big testament to that. But our guys just they freaking love each other. It's amazing to be a part of that too. Um, from a coach's perspective, what makes this a success? There's the baseball aspect, sure. That's easy to see. I think what is harder to see and is a little bit deeper is the spiritual progress that our guys have made and them just embodying this faith component of what Kingsman baseball represents and really growing in their faith and growing as men. For Coach and I to see that, even in the short amount of time that this thing has been alive, right? It gives us so much hope and just confirmation that what we're doing matters. What we're doing is a good thing. And I think the Lord's going to continue to bless it because of that. So it's all phases. I think all sides of this thing, it screams nothing but a success story. And I'm excited. I think we're going to be successful on the field. I really do. Prospects 5-0 right now. We're 2-2 against Georgia Premier in the varsity, 2-4 total. We could strongly be 6-0 if we just play our game. Looking back at the way that the game's unfolded, throwing the ball across the plate and playing good defense, I think those are going to come and those are going to develop as the year goes on. So I think we're going to be successful in terms of our wins and losses, but I think we're going to be successful as men too. It seems like and Lincoln does a great job too with pouring into our guys. He gives them so many lessons on how to be successful off the field as men when when they're playing baseball, yes, but when the game's going to be over too. So man, like we didn't know how this was going to go starting off. First year, we're getting our feet wet in a new academy league. We're brand new to academy baseball, but dude, everything points to, man, this is what we're called to do. So it's been super cool. I'm definitely excited to see where this thing takes off.
Yeah, it's been so much fun to see how this has really developed, and it's difficult, right? Because it's the first year of the academy. You don't know which steps to take in the path of building this up. But at the end of
Yeah.
the day, there's no right and wrong steps, because just like the players are developing on the field, the coaches are developing step by step. You said you're learning as a head coach. Even for a person like me, I'm learning as I work with this team and work on the media side, and there's so much development going on
Yeah.
all over the place here, and it's really cool to be a part of. It's a cool project.
It is, man. And it brings everybody closer too. Everybody in the program, dude. You don't have to play for us. I mean, Griff, your family too, and Coach Oz and Lincoln, and we're all growing together. And I think that makes for a really special year.
Yeah. Well, Coach, thanks for the time. We can't wait to see the continued success as we continue to move through the spring, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Let's get it, baby. Thanks for talking, Griff.
Of course. Well, that'll do it for the Kingsman Corner today. For Coach Preston Hudak, for Coach Joe Hudak, for Boo making her appearances. I'm Griffin Leonard saying so long. We'll talk to you next week. We'll see you soon on the broadcast. Race Collegiate coming up here today and tomorrow, and then Friday, non-conference against P27. So we'll see you around here on the Kingsman Corner.